Hi, I'm George. Today I'm with Pete. We're going to aquascape his Juwel Lido 200 litre aquarium. We've just been to Aquarium Gardens to get some hardscape materials and plants. We're recycling some old plants. It's going to be really good fun. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's go. Okay, so we've got our rocks down here, we've got a soil over here. There's the tank. Pete's going to bravely pick up the biggest stone and put it straight onto the glass. So the reason we're doing this is normally a lot of people will put the substrate in first and then the rocks. But what can happen is the rock can shift once the aquarium is full of water, because the soil will kind of be quite loose and move around, and then the rocks end up moving around, which is what we don't want. So I think that's probably about right for now. We can always adjust it in a minute, Pete. Yeah. That's fine. Okay, so our main stone's in. We always start off with the main stone, the biggest stone. So Pete's holding a lovely piece of riverwood right now. It's been washed off. We do believe it sinks already. We did test it out earlier, so no need to pre-soak it, but definitely a need to just rinse it off and get all the dust and rubbish off there so it doesn't cloud the water. Okay, now Pete's going to put it in the tank. Okay, so wooden rock in. We've got some more smaller stones, but we can put them in afterwards. Our next step is to install our substrate. We're going to go for a cosmetic sand foreground and then Tropica soil in the background. Positioned a couple of more stones in there. These are going to act as a barrier between the cosmetic sand foreground and the soil in the background. Okay, that's looking good. Remember, don't worry too much about the bottom portion of the stone, because that's going to be covered by the sand. Yeah. So the idea is it looks like it's coming out of the earth. Okay, this is a top tip for you. We have some small gaps in between the stones, which is going to potentially lead to the soil migrating onto the cosmetic sand, which looks really ugly and becomes quite a chore during the maintenance process. So what Pete's doing right now is using some filter wool literally to plug the gaps. Filter wool is obviously inert, so it's not going to affect the water chemistry or have any impact on water quality, but it's just a really easy way to stop the soil from creeping onto the sand. Okay, so now Pete's going to pour in a bag of Tropica soil in the background. This is a perfect substrate for planting into. Really easy to plant into, like a nice, loose, not very dense. Ideal for root growth, root penetration. Because we've plugged those gaps, there's hopefully no chance of that soil migrating into the foreground. So using a scraper, Pete's now just going to flatten out that substrate. Okay, second bag's going in. So altogether we're using 18 litres of the Tropica soil. Sloping it to the rear, this gives us an enhanced sense of depth. Also we're going to be planting loads of Cryptocorini species, which tend to do really well in a deeper soil. Okay, so now Pete's got a jug of JBL Sansibar River. This is a white cosmetic sand, and we're using a jug just for extra control. We don't just want to pour the bag straight in. Okay, so we're ready to plant. We've pre-prepared a load of the plants, some existing from the old scape, but a right old mixture of crypts, stem plants, got some Blixia. Talk about them more as they go in. So this is Cryptocorini undulatus red. This is tissue culture from Tropica, and we're just popping it in that gap there between the glass and the rock. One of the good things about Cryptocorini is that it tolerates shade. It's not going to get much light there, but that's no problem. Okay, next we've Got some Blixia japonica. This is from Pete's previous scape. Blixia is one of those funny ones. It grows differently, very differently in different conditions. So in the previous scape it stayed quite short. I'm anticipating it's going to do the same in this scape. And you might notice we're planting into the soil dry. Fairly new technique that I've been using over the last few months, and I just find it tends to be just much easier, less messy, and you tend to get less floaters. Okay, next we're going to plant some Cryptocorini petchii behind the Blixia. I think we've got 5 plants altogether, 5 portions. These will produce new leaves, fill out the space, no problem in a couple of months or so. Cryptocorini is prone to melting, we call it crypt melt. It's just the plant adapting to its new environment. Nothing to worry about, just trim off the affected leaf. You'll soon notice the leaf just literally kind of disintegrates. Just remove that, and then the plant will spend its energy producing a new leaf. Moving over to the back left, we've got Cryptocorini wenditii, and we've got about 6 or 7 portions of that, which will fill out that space nicely. Probably you might have noticed we're starting with our foreground plants and gradually moving our way to the back. The reason for that is foreground plants tend to be shorter for obvious reasons than background plants, and the potential issue with planting background plants at the start is that they can droop over the aquascape. So if you're planting dry, which we are at the moment, the plant tends to kind of fall over and block the surface area, preventing you from planting the shorter plants. So that's the reason we plant the shorter plants at the beginning. Now Pete's got some of his old crypts from his previous scape. I think this is Cryptocorini bectii. These are actually, believe it or not, the shorter ones from the old scape. And we're just going to plant around this empty area here on the right, around the filter inlet. Being careful not to get too close to the filter inlet because it potentially suck a leaf and block the filter. The good thing about crypts is although you might get a little bit of melt in the early days, once they settle in, they're super hardy, don't need much light, slow growing generally speaking. They're really ideal for kind of low maintenance, easy to look after aquascapes. Now we've got our last stem plant, Limnophila hyperoides. This is very similar to Limnophila aromatica, but it tolerates lower levels of lighting and still maintains a nice red colour. It's going to be an interesting scape. We've got 2 red plants next to each other. Be interesting to see how they turn out. Okay, next we've got some Bucephalandra. This is Bucephalandra, have a look at the label because this is a new one on me. Bucephalandra Lamandau Mini Red from Aquaflora, and we're just literally wedging it in the gap there between the wood and the rock, and then over the next few weeks that's going to just root itself. Nearly planted. We're just going to give the plants a bit of a spray, stop them from drying out. Just one more plant to go in now, and that's the Microsorum pteropus Trident, or Trident fern to the layman. And we like to put that in last because it tends to dry out really quickly and it does get damaged, can die off if it does dry out too much. We've attached a load of Anubias Bucephalandra on the wood and the rocks. We've just wedged it into nooks and crannies. We haven't used any glue or cotton thread or any tying at all. We've literally just pushed it in, and what will happen is the roots will grow over the wood or the rock and attach itself, keeping it nice and secure. The Trident fern there, you can see we've got 2 portions, one there and one here. They're ready attached to wood, and we've kept the wood there, and we've just literally placed the wood so it's kind of disguised amongst the river wood. So really easy process of attaching the rheophytes, and it the great thing about rheophyte plants is they add an immediate sense of maturity to the aquascape, so it gives the impression that the aquascape's a lot older than it really is. Okay, last but not least, we've got some weeping moss. We are just going to attach this to a couple of tactical pieces of empty wood, just to again enhance this sense of maturity. So we use super glue. Put some of the glue on the moss first, and then offer the moss up to the wood. So hopefully it will just attach no problem. There we go. And super glue is safe underwater for fish. Get asked a lot of questions about that. Perfectly safe. But it's really important to use a small amount as possible because it does turn white underwater and looks really ugly. Okay guys, all that's left now is to fill with water. I'm going to save that for the next video. So it will be to be continued. I'm going to come back in a couple of months, just like I did with Pete's Iwagumi, and the transformation is going to be really, really good. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's exceeded both our expectations. Really strong hardscape, really good quality plants and good selection of plants all add up to make a nice aquascape. And it just shows, hopefully, if you've got good materials to start with, and you use a few basic guides, anyone can create a good aquascape. So I hope you've enjoyed that video guys. If you have, give me a like, leave a comment if you can. What fish would you put in here? That's always one of my favourite questions to ask you guys. Fish choice is super important, and it's really cool to get your input on that. I'm going to come back in a couple of months, like I say, do an update video, and I'm hoping it's going to look even more awesome than it does already. So thanks for watching, take care, and keep on scaping. Cheerio. I'm here with my friend Pete. Pete. Okay, start again. Breathe in so I don't look fat. Yeah. Standard. Got it down to an art now. Yeah. Can even talk whilst breathing in.
I always do it. The phone about me.
Tense the arms, breathe in. What time is it?